A wonderland hidden among the ruins? You may not believe your eyes. But if someone visits Zhurong in China's eastern Jiangsu province, this is what they'll see on the outskirts of the city. Dubbed Fairyland, the amusement park was built by a unit of Chinese tycoon Hui Gaiyan's real estate empire, Evergrande. Then the largest real estate developer in China, Evergrande brimmed with confidence when it unveiled a blueprint in 2017 for a theme park that would rival Disneyland. But 6 years later, Fairyland remains incomplete, along with nearly 800 other Evergrande projects in over 200 cities across China. Evergrande, after decades of nearly dominating the Chinese real estate market, is in a debt crisis. This is the story of the property giant's ascent and collapse. So why were the Disney-esque parks built in the first place? Construction of this one in Zhurong began in 2017 and received a total investment of about 30 billion yuan. A metro line was also built to connect it to the nearest city, Nanjing. There are 14 others like it across the country that each aimed to offer 33 major attractions that would operate year-round. The project broke ground in mainly second- and third-tier cities. They include Yunnan's provincial capital, Kunming, the historical city of Kaifeng in Henan, Sichuan's Meishan City, and 3 in coastal Jiangsu province, Zhurong, Taicang, and Qidong, within an hour's drive from Shanghai. According to Evergrande's plan, each Fairyland project was to have a radius of 500 kilometers to serve a total population of 80 million people. The final goal was to drive national tourism consumption to more than 20 billion yuan per site. At first, Fairyland was set to open in 2020, but that was quickly pushed back to 2022. Now, in 2024, none of the 15 parks have opened, and the chances of construction resuming seem remote, since Evergrande is in the throes of a debt crisis, and its founder is facing allegations of economic crimes. So how did it all begin? Evergrande was founded in 1996 by Hui Gaiyan, also known as Xu Jiayin, in mainland China. It was just in time for the 1998 housing reform, when Beijing moved away from its socialist housing distribution system to a market-based approach, which was largely successful through a period of peak profits in 2020.
China's real estate-related industry is account for about 30% of GDP in China, which is very significant, including land sales and construction industry, real estate industry, the transaction industry, stamp duties.
Before China joined the World Trade Organization in 2001, its property industry was dominated by large, state-owned developers. Private sector flats, for the most part, were large and priced beyond the affordability of all but the wealthiest buyers. Hui's strategy was to focus on providing affordable housing to the mass market. The company pulled out loans to build low-cost, pre-sold flats and borrowed money before construction. Their success depended on a healthy market of consumers buying and selling property to fund the company's expansion, which worked in Evergrande's favor for years. Evergrande skyrocketed and went public on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange in 2009, valued at 6.5 billion Hong Kong dollars. It eclipsed China Vanke as the country's biggest real estate developer in 2016. The company also expanded beyond its property roots into sectors including wealth management and electric vehicles, and even owned Guangzhou's premier football club. It spent billions of dollars on foreign players at a time when President Xi Jinping expressed ambitions to transform China into a football superpower. At the height of its annual revenue, Evergrande earned more than 500 billion yuan in 2020. However, signs of trouble for Evergrande surfaced the same year, after decades of it looking too good to be true.
就是说我们产生了一个房价只涨不跌的这个好像市场非常狂热整个这个数据呢非常强。这个呢其实某种程度上是不太正常的，就是说不太存在说哪个这个房地产或者说哪个资产它的这个价格这个一直这么强劲。
Property prices in China fell greatly during the COVID-19 pandemic. When COVID cases surged and large cities like Shanghai went into lockdown, housing sales were almost frozen. Evergrande faced liquidity issues as it struggled to meet its debt obligations. Compounding the situation was a national crackdown on debt to limit the potential systemic risk from a property crisis.
Chinese authorities tightened regulations on the property sector to cool the market and introduced a so-called three red lines policy towards developers. It requires developers to limit their debt in relation to the company's cash flows, assets, and capital levels. Under such background, Hui joined the rank of vowing to lower the company's debts.
The new three red lines policy led Evergrande to offer major discounts for properties in an attempt to keep the business afloat. Hui reportedly sold assets and injected around $1 billion of his personal wealth into the company in July 2021. But that was just a drop in the bucket for the money Evergrande owed. As of 2023, Evergrande has reported debts of some $340 billion. Evergrande was declared to be in default in December 2021, facing its largest PR crisis.
那个心都让狗给吃了吧？老百姓那个钱容易吗？我们把我们家所有的财产给2套房都卖了。 我在你们恒大买房，他们如果不给我钱，我非得跳楼不行。
Regulators have launched an investigation into Evergrande's operations and kept Hui on so-called mandatory measures on suspicion of economic crimes. That can also include house arrest, although Hui has not been officially charged with any crime. On January 29, 2024, China Evergrande Group was ordered to be liquidated by the Hong Kong High Court, causing shares in the company to tumble. It was later decided that Alvarez and Marcel would oversee the process, which includes negotiating debt restructuring with creditors and taking control of its assets, books, and records. Evergrande has attempted to restructure on its own, but Justice Linda Chan, who presided over the case, said, "The company still has not been able to bring forward a concrete restructuring proposal. I think it is the time for the court to say, enough is enough." The court order, however, faces cross-jurisdictional challenges as most of the company's assets are located in mainland China. But even if it manages to save itself from corporate failure, the road back to profitability is bound to be long and arduous.